All right, so everything is set. Okay, so today, day 6, we'll be going over these topics: the Pojo creation, passing Pojo to methods, and Java arrays, and we'll recap again on the list, set, and map Java collections. So I'll create new project, new Java project. The reason I'm creating again is so if someone had missed out the earlier classes, they can just refresh through this. April 19, I already have one project, so I'll create as April 19-1 and finish. This is don't create. Okay, there is an empty project. There is an SRC. I right click, I go and I create a new class as main application. And the main application, okay, and the main application, I'm going to create a main. So main and control space, I'll create public static void main, and I'll give a sysout.
I'm sorry, Rajesh, just joined like 2 minutes late. This is the starting, but
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
just I joined 2 minutes late because of
No problem. I was no problem. I was just revising on whatever we went the other week. So I created new project. I created new class. I created one main public static void main. I'm giving a sysout here. I didn't start the topic for today. I was just creating new project so that if someone has missed out, they can recap through this. So now we'll run this program. Run as Java application. Welcome. We should be able to display the welcome. Okay, here it is. So we have. So this is done. This is what we did like earlier Monday and Tuesday. So now for today's topic, as I showed here, this is what we'll be going through: Pojo creation, passing the Pojo to a methods, Java arrays, and collection we'll go through once again. So for that, to pass Pojo to a method, I'll need one method. I'll tell you what Pojo is. Before that, I'll create one method. So now this is in default package. I'll create one package as com, and I'll move the main application inside the com package so that we'll get eliminate of the default package. So nothing new, just revising whatever we did the other day. Now I'll create one more class as user defined class. It can be anything. So here we will be creating one method as public void say hello, and here we'll go sysout hello inside the method. The method return type is void, method type is public. There is no argument inside this method. From this main program, welcome inside main program. Now I'll create an object of the user defined class, user defined class obj equal to new user defined class. Using the user defined class object, I'll call the say hello method. So that's all I have done.
Rajesh, just you refreshing the last week things right here.
Yes, I'm just refreshing the previous week.
Okay.
I created one method. I'm calling the method. Okay, so the sysout from the main method is there, and the sysout from the inner method is there. So this is what we did previous week, starting like 2 days. So we are creating an instance of a class, and we are calling the class. Let me give Control Shift F so that it is formatted. Control Shift F. It's formatted. Okay. So far good. So today we are going to introduce one more class. I will name it as employee, and this is called a POJO. A class, a plain class which is not having a method is called POJO, meaning plain old Java object. The first letters of all the 4 words is called POJO class. Plain old Java object means it does not have a main method. It doesn't have anything else. Just it will have attributes. So for employee can have an employee ID. So I'll give it as employee ID. The data type for the employee ID will be integer. And employee can have name, employee name. I'll give EMP name just to make it shorter. EMP name, EMP ID, and employee can have address, EMP address. So these are called the attributes. We call it as variables also. So attributes. Now what we'll do is, these are all private. If you notice, these are all private, means this cannot be accessed outside. I can create an object of this class also, right? It's just a normal Java class. So employee object equal to new employee. So I'll create try new employee. Okay. So I can create an object of this, but I cannot access the methods because it is all private. So the new concept which you are going to learn today is getters and setters of an attribute. So the way these attributes can be accessed is through getters and through setters. For that, you have to right click the Eclipse. There will be one option as source, and there will be one option as generate getters and setters. You see here, you click on this, a window will come up with all the attributes. You click on whatever you want. I'll select everything, and here you can notice access modifier is public, but these are all high concepts. You can leave everything for now to the default, whatever it is, and click on generate. The Eclipse will automatically generate setters and getters. The reason we are calling it as setters and getter is, for every attribute there will be one get method, one set method. So get employee ID, set employee ID, get employee name, set employee name, get employee address, and set employee address. These are called getters and setters. So as the name suggests, getters means using this method only we can get the value. So if I want to access employee name, I cannot access the class object dot employee name. Instead, I should call this method class object dot get employee name. This will return me the employee name. If I want to set a value, I have to call the class object dot set employee name. With one example, we'll see, you'll understand much better. One second. Okay. So in this main program, what I will do now is, before calling this, I'll read from the input. So to read an employee name, what did we see the other day? We have to use the streams. I'll just copy the code from there. So you understand it. Okay. So buffered reader, new buffered reader of input stream. We saw this code. So here I'll give this code. And what did we see? br dot read line will read the line. So what we are going to tell now, first we will print here, please enter your employee code. Enter your employee code. And I'm going to read that. It is an integer value, int employee code equal to br.readline. There is some error. I'll come back to that. Next, after I read this, I want to read the employee name. Enter your employee name. There's someone waiting in the room. Okay, I have admitted. Okay, enter your employee name. Now again, I'll be reading from the input, and this would be employee name. And this is of type string. And what is the third attribute? Employee address. The same I'll copy. Enter your employee address. It's actually enter your code, enter your name and enter your address. It would be employee address, and it is also string. Let us comment this out for now for a few seconds. Let's see whether we are able to read this. Okay, there it is telling that unhandled exception. For now, just click on this. You will be going through exception in detail tomorrow. So I'll run this program and see whether it is working as per. Then enter your name, okay, Rajesh, and enter your address. Okay, employee. Okay, it is working now. After it is getting two inputs and then it is terminating. So far good. I'll come back to this line now. So what this error means is type mismatch, cannot convert from string to int. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So it's telling type mismatch cannot convert from string to int, because br.readline, as per the documentation, it would be returning a string. But here we are having a variable which is of type int. So it's telling you cannot be converting. So we have a method integer dot parse int of, it is expecting input string. So I'll call this method. I go to documentation, I'll show you. In the integer documentation, Java '16, here it is. This we called as a wrapper class. If you want to convert one value from one data type to another data type, we use these classes. But it should be reasonable, meaning I cannot give Rajesh as employee code and ask the program to convert to an integer. I can give 1, 2, 3 as string and then try to convert as integer. So if I go to integer class has a method integer dot parse int. Here it is. Parse int is expecting input string. So parses means converts the string argument as a signed decimal integer. So if I give a string, it would be converting to equal integer. The string should be like this. Okay, this is a string without double quotes is an integer. But if I give RAJ, this is wrong. This is not a number. It would tell that invalid like numeric value. This is not a numeric value. So this is called a wrapper class. When I get a value, I'll call this integer.parseInt and try to convert. So now, since we have converted, let's do a quick sysout and see whether our values have come up correctly. Employee code, comma, employee name, comma, employee address. Actually, comma is not allowed here. It's allowed in Angular. So I'll just replace it plus. This is just a quick check to see whether the value which we have given is coming or not. Enter your code. I'll go 1 2 3 and enter your name, Rajesh, address. 1 2 3 Rajesh and address. Now we'll, instead of 1 2 3, I'll try to give a text value there. Code is ABC. See, number format exception. You are allowed to give a number as string, but you cannot give text as a string. Okay. So we have got these values. Here comes the important things for today's class. Till now is what we done previous week. Now after we read three values.
Rajesh, one doubt here. I didn't get the parse int. Could you please?
Yeah, parse int is, we go to the documentation. What they are telling, if you give string as an input value, it will be returning int as an output value. Parses or converts the string argument means input value, as a signed decimal integer.
Okay, it's just for conversion.
Conversion. String to
Okay.
integer. That's all.
And one more thing, you started is used the word pose or something, right?
Where?
At the starting, it's POGO, right?
Yeah,
The
Pojo.
document.
Pojo.
I think, could you please explain one more time about that one?
It's a plain old Java object. I created one class and I created three attributes: ID, name, and address. The data types for ID is integer, for employee name is string, and address is string. And all three are private, means it cannot be accessed outside of this class. But if we are going to make something as private, it would be of no use. You have to provide some way to access it outside the class. So that some way is called getters and setters. We have to right click, go to source, go to generate getters and setters. Okay. Eclipse would generate for every attribute one is one getter and one setter. I'll show you
get method and set method.
Correct. Get method and set method.
Okay.
Using these method, we will put the value into the object, and using the get method, we will get from the object.
Outside of the class.
Yes, outside of the class. That is what I'm going to demonstrate now. So we have got three values. Now I have to put that into that object. So to show you what an object is someone waiting? No. Okay. So think of employee. Is there a, okay, I want this shape. Okay, this is what our employee class is. And inside the employee class, we are having three attributes. The first is an employee code. and second is employee name, and the third is employee address. I want to put these values into this bucket. This is the object, the employee object. So I create an employee object by using new keyword. Now I have to set these values, put it into that object. For that, where is the object we created? Here it is. Employee object equal to name employee. Now I will call employee object dot set employee code. I have to call employee ID, and I have to pass the employee code whatever I received here. Is this clear? When I call this
Rajesh,
method, yes.
mhm. That getters and setters just the inbuilt functions or inbuilt methods or
No, no.
just the
We can write it in, for, let's say, in real time projects. Every a class can have like 20 to 30 attributes, because when I take employee, you will have date of birth, gender, address, your bank account number. So an employee can have at least 30 attributes. So writing getters and setter for 30 attributes manually will be time consuming. That is why we have this automatic generation. You can still delete this and write on your own. It's
okay.
definitely allowed. And the
Here,
method name should not be, it's not mandatory to have the same name. You can have
so
your own name also.
one random, yeah, okay. That's not my question. Okay.
So it is not mandatory. You can have get employee ID one, set my own employee ID. You can have anything here. Just that you have to set it. This line should be there. Whatever is coming, we have to put it into the bucket using the this keyword. This means this object, whatever this object. In the diagram, this object. So whatever is coming inside, we put into this particular region. This is what we are doing here. Employee object dot set employee ID, whatever is coming inside. Next, employee name I have to set now. So employee object dot set employee name and employee name. That's all. Now assume that I have not set the employee address into the object. Now employee object, I'm receiving the address, but I forgot to put into the bucket, into the object. Let's keep it for now. Now I have this object ready. This object has 3 attributes. Inside the attribute, we have set the values. 2 of the values we have set it. So whatever user is giving, it will be stored here. Rajesh, and whatever like 1, 2, 3, this will be blank for now. This is how the object will be available inside. Now, inside this user defined class, we will pass this object. I'll pass the object, no, not here. In the say hello method, I'll pass the object. It is going to throw error that the method you are not receiving the attribute, receiving the value. So we have to just add to receive an attribute. Here, once we receive this object, now here I will try to print and see whether I am getting that value or not. Dot, here I'll use get. I have to use get to get the attribute. I'll try to print the address first. I'll copy and paste it 2 more times. And next I will get employee ID. And next I will get employee name. Now I'll run this program and see. It's going to ask what is your code. I'll go 1, 2, 3. What is your name? Rajesh. Address. So inside the method, now it has gone inside this method. I got this result. Now null, because I didn't set the address. The other 2 I set into the Pojo. So I am able to retrieve in the Pojo. Now I'll go here. I have to set it. I'll copy this line. I will set, I have to set in address field. If I set in employee name field, what will happen? Whatever address I'm getting will be sent as employee name. Here it will be overwritten. If I run and show you, employee code is 123, name is Rajesh, address is address. It is coming 23, employee name, employee address. I have to set here, right? Now if I run and show you. After this, let's take like few minutes to understand and clear any questions. See here, address is coming in place of employee name. So here I have to set employee address. Set emp address. Now we're not doing anything like different. Just we are adding to a bucket that is called the object, and everything has come up. And when we pass the method, we pass the object as it. Instead of this, what can we do? What we have done earlier, if you remember, if just take this method and compare with the addition program which we did the other day. What did we do? We passed two parameters separately to the method, correct? Do you remember that? The first program, whatever we did, see here, in the method, we are passing 1, 2, 3. Here also, what I could have done, I could have passed employee name, comma, employee code, comma, employee address. I could have done this also, correct?
Yeah, instead of that, just created one object, and by using that object, you
Yes.
are getting the values. That's it, right?
Correct. That's all. The reason is today there are 3 values I can send it. Tomorrow there might be 40, 50 values. I cannot be adding everything into this like comma separate. I cannot be a comma separating here and adding it. It would be, the coding would be tough. That's all. So what we are doing, we just put everything into a single object that we called as Pojo. So we put everything into Pojo and we pass one single Pojo. That's all. So tomorrow the method, we need not change the method. We need not change the method argument, right? All we have to do is just put it, and in the method we will be receiving it. Is this clear? Any questions we can discuss now?
Here the poser means just creating the object with
All Pojo. Plain old Java object means just a class with attributes and a getters and setter. That's all. So if in the interview, if they ask what is Pojo, Pojo is plain old Java object. What it will have? It will have just attributes and getters and setters. That's all. Why it is used? To pass data between different classes. We set inside a class, we pass it to the method, we receive in another class. That's all.
Okay, just creating one class and using that class variables in another class.
Yes, using this class to set the values and pass this class. So instead of, let's say you have 10 or 20 books to be taken, you will not be taking everything individually, right? You will put into a suitcase or a box, and you will carry that box to the different location. That makes your work easier. That is what we are doing here also. The box is called the employee object, and the books we are carrying are employee ID, name, address. It can come to any number of values. Do you understand the analogy?
Yeah. That means, Rajesh, in this method, in this getters and setters, just we are changing the values by using the class employee, and we are calling this employee as an object.
Correct.
Okay. If you want to change everything, we have to use the employee class, and then we have to implement.
Everything means?
If you want to change any value inside this getters and setters.
You have to just set it to the object, that employee object dot set.
Okay, that means in this employee class, it's going to change.
Yes. If you actually, it will not change in the class. That's what class is a blueprint. It cannot do anything. The object we get from the
Yeah,
class,
in that object, it's going to change. I'm
yes,
sorry.
into as a new keyword, this object it will change.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. So others, even if others not following, I would recommend the videos are available. You go through and start practicing it. We are going at a very slow pace only. So even if you spend like 2 hours to 3 hours, you can catch up to whatever we have done so far. And this is the basic for the advanced Java. Next week we will be starting the advanced Java. By this week, the core Java would be done. For the rest of the weeks, we'll be doing practice exercise and going through the same topics with slight like variations wherever it's needed. So actually, the core topics are almost covered. We just have to deal with few exceptions. So all those supporting stuffs. So I would recommend if someone has not gone through these things, just spend like 1 or 2 hours today, go through the videos and start practicing, and you can ask it. So if this is clear, next
Hello.
step, what we said. So we saw Pojo creation, how to create a Pojo, pass Pojo to methods we saw. Next is we'll go through this, adding Pojo to collection. So now going back to the collection. I said that there are 3 collections in collection classes in Java or interface: list,
The arrays and the
set,
maps.
and maps. These are the 3 collections. There are multiple classes implementing these collection interfaces. These 3 are interfaces. We have array list, linked list, same way hash set, hash map, tree set. So we have many classes implementing. So these are the interfaces, we call collection interfaces. So if someone asks what are the different collections available in Java, we have to tell only 3: list, set, and map. Array list, hash list, linked set, normal tree set, all others are classes implementing these 3 basic collections. So not like array list will not be one separate collection. Hash set and tree set will not be 2 separate collections. Those are just 2 different classes, but the collection is list, set, and map. So now what we'll do is we have this object ready with us. We have passed to the method. We'll go to this method just for since this method is not crowded, we'll go here. We are retrieving this input object. What we'll do is this object here, this object. So we'll create one list of what this list is going to contain. This type object, list object equal to new array list. New array list of employee, which means in the list I can place only employee object. So whatever value we are getting here, we will add to the list. List object dot add the employee object, whatever is coming inside. I'll create this declaration outside. So we are adding it here. So we created a list. The left side will be interface, right side will be class, and what it is going to contain, it can hold only employee object. You cannot add 1, 2, 3 like what we did the other day. We added Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those are all strings. If I want to add string, I have to give here string and here also string. Since I'm giving employee, I can add only employee object. So list we are adding. I'll give sysout and I'll go to this list object in the documentation, and I want to see how many elements are there in the list. Let's see what the documentation says. If I want to see the number of elements in a list, there should be some method. If I call that method, it should tell me how many numbers are, what is the number of elements. Okay, there it is. Returns the number of elements in this list. There is a size method, and it is going to return integer. So I'll call the size method. List object dot size. The reason I'm showing you documentation, I know that I have to call size, but I am showing documentation so that in case you get lost somewhere, you should know how to come back. You should know, you should be thorough with the documentation. No need to like mug up or know every single method, but at least you should know that, okay, this is where I have to go and find out. That is what I want you to understand. That's why I go and I show you the description here. If I just use dot size, you will forget it. So now let's try to access the size. I'll run the main program. So what we have done in the user defined class, we created one list, and inside the method, we are adding the list. I'll run the program. For the code 1R and address is R. Okay, R1R and 1 is printed, which means the list is having one element. Now, the same line, I'll add one more time. And I'll comment these things out. It is just uh, not needed now. Now let's run this program. Enter your code 1R and now the list size is 2 because even though we are sending one object, I am adding 2 times into the list. So I'll add 3. This would be 3. 3. So what are the 3 values? I have to print and see. I'll try to print the list as it is. Previous week, if you notice, when I tried to print the array list in the square bracket, I was, in a flower bracket, I was able to see the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as values. If I print the list here, let's see if I'm seeing it. I don't see the values. Instead, I see the object. This is the object. We have been speaking that from the mold, which is from the class, objects are getting created, right? This is what the object will look like. The address. This is the Java identified address. This is what the object is. Using the new keyword when we create, this is what will be created. Now I have to iterate. Previous week we saw how to iterate a list. We have the modified for loop for data type which the list is going to return. It is employee and temp employee object to hold the value. And what is the list name? This is the list name and flower bracket. And inside this, I'll give a sysout of temp employee. There's not much of a difference. I'll be getting the same output, but one below the other this time. Because inside the for loop, I'm printing the object. So when I try to print an object, I cannot see anything. So I have to see what is the value. In this case, to access the value, I have to use the getter method. From the object, I'll print employee name. Let's see what happens now. 1 R and R, it's printing. The employee name I gave is R, it was added 3 times. If I want to print the other wall, employee code, get EMP address, get EMP ID. So if I give this way and I'll remove this duplicate, whatever I added. Now if I run the program, 101 and the Rajesh address, it is printing one below the other. Clear so far, or any questions you can ask now?
It's good for me. Just you are using the follow just for the
Yes.
no for iteration purpose. Just we did before the previous day.
Correct. So one question comes here. One complexity. There are now 3 values, and inside the for loop, I am doing get name, get employee address, get. What if there are 40 to 50 attributes? Every time I have to give here 40 sysouts, correct? Inside the for loop, to see the value, I have to give 40 sysout. That is not going to be an efficient way. For that, we have one quick way. I'll show you that. Before that, I'll debug this program and show you how the list is now. When I debug this program, what is the main application? Main application. Let's open up the list and see how it is. Low access. No, I have to run this. So debug as Java application. Okay, enter your code 101 Rajesh address. Now it's going to the debug. Now in the variables view, if we see the list, it is added to the list now. Where is this list? List will be inside this list object. It's an array list. We have added to 0th position, and inside the array list, 0th is having employee class or employee object. We have 3 attributes in it. If you can read this and correlate with the Pojo, that's all it is. You can write wonderful codings. This is an array list. What it is? Here it is. It's a list of employee, and when we call the add method, it will add to 0th value, and in 0th value, an object is there. That's what it is showing here as employee. And employee object has 3 attributes. The values, whatever we gave in the input, we set it up using the setter method is coming here. Now, what I said was, if you are going to have 40 to 50 attributes, this way will not be efficient. Instead, I want to go with the original sysout. I'll print the sysout object alone, but it should print me all the values inside it. Now it is not correct. If I run, it will not print the value. It will print a junk object code. Correct? It is printing out an object code. Now we'll do just one change in the program and it will start printing all the values. All our work for this sysout will be eliminated. What you have to do is, this is very important concept. A Pojo class has one method called as toString method. This will be asked always. Most of the times this will be asked. There is a toString method inside a Pojo class. To know what are the methods available, you may wonder how I am telling toString is based on experience. But if you don't know, You can go to source, override implement methods. Earlier we used generate and getters, generate getters and setters. Now go to override implement methods. See here, these are the methods that are available in object. So with object means at the high level class itself, a Java class has these 5 methods inbuilt. So I am going to call this toString method. And where is my toString method? Here it is. There is an at override, means we are going to write our own code here instead of the original code. So return super.toString is there. Instead of that, what I will do, return emp id plus, here I need not use the getter because I am inside the class. I can access the private variable directly, plus emp name plus emp address. Clear with this statement? I'm just returning these 3, whatever is there. And since it is inside the method, I can call the variable directly. Only if it is outside, I have to use the getters and setters. So that's all. If I do this, wherever I'm going to print the object, it will print the value. I'll go 101, Rajesh, address. See here, beautifully it has printed all the value. So you should know what is toString method and how to use it. I'll show with one more variable. Let's say the employee class.
Rajesh, a
Yes.
toString method just got the, it's an inbuilt
It's an
method, right?
But this return alone we are changing. It was already returning super.toString. We removed that and we are returning our own value.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Just with the toString. Okay,
great. Now, if there is one more attribute getting added in the employee class as gender, and gender will be a string, right? We'll store either male or female. So this is what it will be stored. Now gender is added. Since it is added, I have to generate a getter and setter. I'll right click source, generate getter and setter. This is the only thing which is not having a getter and setter. So Eclipse recognizes and it is showing only this, because for all other attributes we generate that. I'll click on generate now. For the gender also it's ready now. I save it. And here I have to get the gender. Enter your gender. And I have to store as gender. There is no variable as gender. Okay, declared. And I have to set that gender, and I have to set that gender inside the object. Set gender. Now, if I run the program, code 101, Rajesh, address, and mail. Before I hit enter, can you tell me what will be the output?
You are using the mail, right? It has to be mail.
Yes. So the control will go here. And in for loop, the size will be only 1 because only one object is getting added. In for loop, we are printing the object. So what will be printed there? Just guess. No problem if it's wrong.
You mean in the temp employee?
No, this is out. This is out. What it will print? What will be printed?
Whatever the name you given Rajesh, right? It's going to take.
Only Rajesh.
Add 1 second. The add employer. No, it's 3. 101 Rajesh and the address and the mail.
Yeah, so all 4 will be printed, correct?
Yeah.
It's printing only 3. Why?
Maybe there will be an exception for
No,
gender.
no. In toString we didn't add. In toString what we said,
So
you have to print only these 3. Now
Yes.
since I have added one more here, I have to add it in the toString.
Okay.
Plus gender. If I add to the toString, that will be printed now. One more time. Rajesh plus LUM. See here. Now it is printing. So any questions?
So I have one question. Is there any way to just show that there is a placeholder holder for new string type for gender, suppose?
Placeholder means?
We added new gender field, right? So, but it wasn't showing up since we didn't add it in the string method to string.
Yes.
So if by chance anyone in the organization adds a field and we are not aware of that, so
No,
it will not show up, right?
no, there is no placeholder. You,
Okay.
it's the developers have to add it.
Okay, okay. So
Just
every
so
time a new field comes up, we have to add it in the toString.
correct. So the same we can add to a. Okay, one more thing I can show you. Now we are getting only one value, correct? We can get 2 employees value now. What will be the easiest way? How can I get one more employee value? Any answers? So this is getting only one employee and it is terminating. Now I want to get 2 employees data.
So create another object and add those values to it.
or for loop.
Yeah, for loop.
Yeah, there are 2 ways. For loop is the best way. What I will do is first I will get sys out how many employees data you want to enter. So this is the first question we will ask, and we will be getting it from the system as an int value, and we will store into one variable as total employee count. The BR is available here on. So BR should be declared first. So the first question is, what is the number of employees you want to enter? Total employee count I am reading. Now for those many times, I have to add the, for those many times, I have to get the employee data. Once again. Sorry for that. I'm back. Sorry, my kid was crying, so just have to.
That's
Is it?
fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we get the total employee count here, and for those many times, the system should ask ask the input. So these set of data, enter your code, enter your name, enter your address, and enter your gender. From the object creation till this should be inside a for loop. So we'll create a for loop for int loop. We can do for loop or we can use while loop also. Now I'll use for loop for int loop count equal to 0. Loop count is less than total employee count, whatever we got, and loop count plus plus increment it. So those many times we will enclose it here. It should be actually here because this is where we pass to the object, and this object can be created only once. So this will be outside the for loop. So we create the, even this can be at the top to make things more clear, better coding. So we get the total employee count, and those many times in for loop we create employee object, we get the input, we set into the employee object, we pass the object to the user defined class. In user defined class, what happens? Whatever value is coming here, this would be added to the list, and we will be printing the list. We will be iterating and printing the list value in a for loop. We'll run this and see. What is the number of employee data? I want to enter 2, code 101, name is Rajesh, address, enter your gender, mail. Now it went inside the user defined and it added the list size is 1. It is printing using the toString method. Now it is asking for the code 102. Okay, will you run? Enter your address and address. Enter your gender, mail. Now, second value, RAM address. So now if you see the for loop, the array list is getting iterated every time. So the first value which is there in the array list is 101. The second value is 102. Are you getting this? Any questions?
Yes, Rajesh.
Great. So if this is clear, then it will be very easy for you to go into the advanced, because what we have done today, what all the concepts we learned, first is Pojo, passing, how do we pass Pojo to a method, how do we add Pojo to collections, uh, set is, if we have done set, okay, map I'll show you, map alone is different, I'll show you now, and arrays. Okay, this is one additional thing which we learned, like dynamically getting the input and based on that we are passing the value. Now map alone we'll see. So if we see this value, employee code, employee name, okay, here it is, employee code, name, and address and gender. The name can repeat, correct? In an organization there can be multiple Rajesh. The address also can repeat, gender also can repeat, but employee code will be unique for everyone. So since this is unique, what we will do is, inside this method, we add this to list and we iterate. That is one part of story. It's all done. Now we come inside the same method. We create a map. Okay. Now the key of the map should be the code. What is the data type of the code? That is employee ID is int. So we give integer as the key. And what is the value? We want to store the employee itself as the value. Employee object itself as the value. Map object equal to new hash map of key and value. What is key? The employee code and the value is object itself. So we are declaring this map and it has to be declared outside because only once it has to be available. Now Control Shift O, this will import this map from the util interface. This is for your documentation. Now we have the map. I'll call map dot put. I have to give a key. What will be my key? Employee dot get employee ID is my key and employee object itself is the value. Now I will give a sys out and print out this map. If you see how the map is stored inside the program, you'll understand this logic. I'll run this. How many? Again, I want to give two values. Enter your code 101 A, address is A, and gender is male. And enter your code 102 B, B, and female. So see here, the first is the output from the list. So list is straightforward. First object, employee object. This is second employee object. Now the map is storing as two values. The key is 101 and the value is the entire object. Since we have given two string, this is printing the same value. The second value key is 102 and so we use this in projects where we have like 50 to 60 employees, which is fetched. We need something to be unique. It's like an index to a book. So the page numbers will always be unique, right? So if you want to identify where Rajesh is, we'll be identifying with this employee ID. So we'll give employee ID as the key and we'll give the entire object. So if there is some need in the screen to fetch Rajesh and show, we will just call this ID. You call the get method and we'll get the object and we'll display it. So I just wanted you to understand how the object is stored in list and in maps. Any questions? Hello? Any questions?
I'm clear on my end.
Okay. Okay then. We'll just wind up for today with one small thing which is pending in the sheet, which is arrays. Arrays and array list. Array list we saw, that's in the collection. Apart from the array list, earlier we used to have an array. Array is nothing but a predefined storage. Example, array list is, I'll show with that here. This is an object. When I declare something as an array list, what I'm doing, I create one array list. Every time I call the add method, the array list will be increased in the memory dynamically. When I call one more add, the memory will increase. When I call one more add, another will increase. That is with the array list. Collections increase the memory automatically and decrease the memory automatically during runtime. But if I want to be predefined, we have arrays. Tomorrow we'll go over arrays again. Just I want to have something before I close the array. So we have arrays. If I give integer array equal to integer array equal to 1, 2, 3. I cannot have character. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. New integer Cannot convert from integer to integer array. One second. So it will have an integer array, and the object for the array is array name, and let's say I am going to have one. There is a problem in the 1, 2, 3. So this is how we declare an array. So this means I can. This means I am telling to program, you create one object, and I will always store 1, 2, and 3. I cannot add something into the object. But array list means, if you see the declaration of array list, I'll go to this one. This is the array list or map, right? You compare these two, both are same. The only thing is array list does not know how many elements it's going to store, but array knows that it is going to store only 3 elements. Array list it knows it dynamically when we call the add. I can add 100 or 1000. So initially array list, when the program sees array list, it will not allocate any memory. It will allocate 0. When it sees add, it is going to increment the memory. When it sees one more dot add, it will again increment. But in array, starting itself, it will allocate memory as 3, 1, 2, and 3. We cannot, there is no add method in an array. There is no remove method. So always it will be fixed. That's the only difference between array and array list. So where do we use array and array list is, you know that a week is having 7 days. In that case, we'll use array to declare the days of the week. So we'll use it like this. Instead of integer, we'll give string array days of week equal to Sunday. Like this, we'll give Monday. So this cannot increase, right? So if you know that somewhere the values will not increase, you have to go for array. But if you know that it's going to be dynamic, I don't know what is the value. In our case, we didn't know how many employees we can add, right? Based on the user input only we decide. In that case, we go for the array list. This is some very simple concept, array. I just wanted to show it along with the array list, so you'll know the difference. So any questions? Okay, I have sent like 5 sample programs in WhatsApp yesterday. I mean today morning, I think. So I'll be sending like 5 more now. So I would like recommend you going through these programs and start practicing it. So this week, one program at a time. Like if you want to show me the output also, you can share your screen and display it. Or else if you have some questions, I can run it for you and show it. So by this week, let's ensure that the basic concepts in Java, the interface, the questions which I give will cover mostly everything. The interface, inheritance, list, set, and map. And so the other things which you are going to go for next 2 days, let's ensure that we practice it. So any questions you can ask me, or else we can wind up for the day, and tomorrow we'll meet again.
That sounds good, Rajesh. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Bye bye, guys.
See you. Take care. Bye.